And we are live. Welcome everyone to Zone 2 Talk. Today's guest is someone who I have known for more than a decade. He is a social media influencer, an entrepreneur, a visionary guy, and also my friend. He is the co-founder of MarvinXR. Welcome to the podcast, Swapratim Roy, or Swap.
Thank you, Gopal. It's been a pleasure being here. Thank you so much for inviting me in this podcast as well.
My pleasure. Let's start with something direct,
Sure.
and so that we don't lose our audience in 5 seconds. uh, I've read this interesting line by a businessman called Naval, and it says something like, "You are not going to get rich renting out your time. You must own a equity in a piece of business to gain your financial freedom." When I read this line, my mind was blown. And what I want to get out of this was in country like Denmark, where work-life balance is considered to be the utmost priority, starting a business is like taking a big leap of faith. Um, how easy or difficult it is for someone to start a business in Denmark?
First of all, that's a very good quote from Naval. He's kind of like a legend in this world. To get back to your question, starting a business in Denmark is very easy. You can register a CVR or register a company within half an hour. That's the easiest part, but that's the least part of starting a business because the actual journey starts from there, right? But yeah, truly speaking, from my perspective, when I just passed 30, I was kind of like a dilemma started in my mind because I also read that at the point of time. Like, probably I'm not going to get rich or something, at least my life, by doing a better job or maybe a little bit more better job or just going up in the corporate ladder. So, yes, it was kind of my dream for a long time to start something which can value people. And I was doing something in different ways, playing around with tech for many years, but there was nothing very concrete at any point of time. So I started to think like if we can bring something as a concrete value addition to society or business or something, and that could actually also help me to build up kind of like a side hustle, it could be interesting. So yeah, it was a leap of faith, I can say, but not a complete leap of faith. It was kind of like a joint venture by started with my wife and me a few years back as a side hustle. So to be honest, and Marvin XR mostly as was envisioned by something to create uh, augmented reality or provide the experience of augmented reality for everyone instead of few nerdy guys with goggles putting on their head in there. So that was the focus, like how we can bring more or reach out most of the people with a very easy technologies. Probably you have put an answer like yes, it's very easy, and Denmark is a one of the most startup friendly countries across the globe. You get quite a bit good help when you start a business in terms of like start taking up with the administrative work and managing the tax. There's a lot of things that tax takes around when you start something. Denmark is quite friendly in terms of managing those stuff in there. And
Sure.
also it's easy to move around this.
What I understand is that it's very easy, like the process is very well defined in Denmark. So it could be like step one, do this, step two, do this, and then it's your struggle to build the company and achieve to where you have taken it. For example, Marvin XR, right? But there's also this comfort when you come to Denmark and start working. You have a very defined role that you go to office at 8 or 8:30, you come back home at 4:30, and then you have your personal life, right? But when you start a startup, I feel that there is something more to this work-life balance that is disrupted, or am I wrong? Did you still have this work-life balance when you started your Marvin XR?
No, absolutely not. I'm trying to bring that now in my life because now I have a family. I have a daughter who just turned 6 years a few months back. But when I started, no, it was a little bit crazy to be honest. And especially if you start a business with something as a traditional business part, it's easy because then you can spend some time, for example, selling a service, selling a consultancy, selling something like a value-added pack or something ebook or something marketing, but building a platform from scratch, and also it's kind of like very innovative solution, it took a lot of time. I used to
Uh,
spend most of my free time, all of my free time, while writing this because I was a one man army because I didn't have that much of money to hire a developer to build something. So I was the guy who was the coder, who was the architect, who was the tester, who was the deployment implementer, who was testing in the production, reaching out to the beta testers, and repeat and doing all the things in the my visa time. So yeah, it was I would say hard. It was fun, but yeah, sometimes it could like a little bit crushing your weekends and time, and when you're a family life, kind of like your wife is always not happy. Sometimes you can sense in a very little bit.
yeah, it's a good point that you mentioned about spending a lot of time or all of your free time into something that you are passionate about. What I think that if you are passionate about something and want to solve that problem, it feels like a play to you. It doesn't feel like you are working. But if you are spending the same time working for someone or solving someone else's problem, then it might sound like or it might feel like a work. And then I guess the work life balance comes into picture. But since you are trying to solve the problem that you have identified, it might feel like a play when you're investing so much time and you don't feel like the time has passed. Obviously, your wife will be a bit pissed, but that's the downside of starting a company, in my
That's
opinion.
true. But my wife was also very supportive because we started as a co-founder. When this vision came to my mind, my point or my argument to my wife was like, can you take up the sales part? And because I have never worked in sales, I worked in
Mm.
pre-sales at Max and most in technical part. So sales was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do in there. I can build something, which was easy part, right? Selling something is the hardest part. And so she like, okay, I can. And at that point of time, we were expecting our daughter. So she said, well, we have few months. If you can build something which can be sold something and pack it in something, maybe we can give it a try. So we actually started building things. I was building things, and when things were kind of like a little bit of ready in terms, and so she also jumped into the business. So we were kind of like working a little bit two shift in there. She was also in one shift and I was also in the other shift. So I
Mm.
was bug fixing and adding features and making things and stuff. And she was helping in there. So yeah,
And
and she understood that what was going on in there. So it was not that she was completely mad. So but yeah, it was fun. But sometimes when you hit a block or hit a wall and you couldn't solve the problem, it feels like crushing your head against the wall. So that's
I,
all about the
I
life.
mean, there's an upside and downside to everything in life. And like starting a job, I think the downside would be that time management is something that you have to be very picky about. You can't just waste your time and you have to be very selective about where you utilize that time. But I had this question in my mind about you are a founder or a co-founder of MarvinXR, but you are also having another job wherein you are an employee, right?
Hmm.
Do you think that there's a change in the mindset when you go to work and be an employee and when you are an co-founder and working as a co-founder?
Absolutely. There's a big shift of mindset. Every morning you take a sip in coffee and just head to the work because in my work I was working at that point of time and even now with a lot of government organizations and public organizations, and sometimes at some point of time I also worked with some of the ministries of
Mm.
European government and stuff. You know that we actually worked into the same time as well. Even now as
Ex-colleagues.
ex-colleagues. And even now, I'm kind of like working in those kind of formats, which is very process driven. And I don't want to call myself successful, but I position myself as someone who represents the company and close successful deals from those areas to make sure that we are, getting a success as a team in there, which is being driven by a company values and everything in there, right? So that's a one mindset. But when I get back, start focusing on Marvin XR in the evening, it's a complete vision change because then number one, yes, I have a vision sometimes. And a quick fun fact, when you start something, often this is the case. Once in a week, you feel like flying on the clouds. But the rest of the week, you can feel like shit. Like it's not going anywhere. What I'm doing, I'm just wasting my life. It's just completely rubbish thing. I'm bullshit. I'm just wasting time. So, and it happens. But then you just collect yourself and focus on things, and then suddenly there are hundreds of things you have to focus. It's not the coding part. It's not the program, not the technology. I realized at a certain point of time, that's in a business, probably 20% of a business in there. Then it comes to sales, marketing, reaching out, PR, social media, connecting people, rejections, a lot of rejections, and then a lot of rejections. And you feel like a worthless person who have built a career in many years, 15 plus years in a successful region, and suddenly feel valueless because people are just rejecting you. And then you realize, okay, the rejection is not because people do not like you, because they do not need the solution at the point of time, which is fair enough in business. Then you get over that and try to fix things in different ways, take in different hats, and think in different ways and try to solve a problem. Probably each one a day, but that also takes a different viewpoint. So yeah, it's
Mm,
fun, but also it needs a lot of learning because I didn't know nothing about marketing.
mm,
Sales, I have no idea. Social media, yes, I was fun in Facebook, but building an audience in social media was a whole
mm.
altogether different game, which I had to learn in there as well. Writing contents, writing ebook, writing newsletter every week for 3 years at straight. Everything that took a different tool, but yeah, it
It
was fun, I'd
it
say.
it it's a remarkable story, and we'll explore a bit about it. But coming back to what you just mentioned, which is very interesting, in my uh, I have a line which I have to think about, but what you said about there are days wherein you feel that you're in cloud nine, and then there are a lot of days wherein you feel down because of a lot of rejections, right? And then I remember reading this quote somewhere wherein people clap when you start a race and people clap when you end a race. But the time that you need the most of the cheering or clapping is when you're actually doing the running in between the start and the end. And that's when no one's there to cheer you. So that's what I remembered when you said about some days you feel like you're in cloud nine, or some days you feel like shit. And when you feel like shit, there's no one to like back you when you're a founder. But if you are an employee, then there is your manager, there is someone who does your one-to-one check-in, I guess. And then they are also there to boost your confidence. And as an employee, you have a lot of people to support you. But as an employer or as a founder, your brain and you and maybe your wife and your close ones are the ones that can support you to pick you up and cheer you, I guess. Correct me if I'm wrong in my.
You're right, because one thing I really learned in this all this journey, because every journey leaves an imprint, right? What I learned is that yes, people always clap when you start, when you finish, but finish line is always in business very long in run. So you don't often see them when you start in few years, right? I haven't seen them yet. So, but
Hopefully, there's a long way to finish. Yeah.
yeah, anyway, but I'm enjoying my journey. But the thing that I was not in my past was consistent in a
Mm,
journey,
mm,
doing something every single day. So one thing is called like you see a lot of motivational videos. You get your adrenaline up. Oh, it's so fun. It's so great. I am going to, get things done. But then after 2 days, you quit your gym, you quit your discipline and stuff. But second thing is discipline. You're in a shitty mood. It's Monday morning. Nothing works as per your plan. Everything falls on your face, but you still do what is have to be done.
mm,
And that's discipline. And then you just
mm.
continue doing this every single day. It feels hard, but when you start doing this for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, some few things, habits come into your scheme, and then you start realizing even nobody's cheering for you, you feel good while doing that small thing, like doing a small 10 line content or doing a small post video or doing a small code correction. If you do this every day, that gives you the boost to get to the things done in next day. So I think that is my best learning whatsoever in this journey.
You spoke a bit about gym. I wanted to talk about it at the later stage, but I think it's the right context to talk about wherein you said you are in on you it's Monday morning, you are in a bad mood, or Monday evening you're in a bad mood. You don't want to work, but you have to be consistent. So you have to put in the work every day, and over the course of 3-4 years you will see the results. I have followed your DHL timing on Facebook, wherein you have posted every year. I guess not every year, but you have posted frequently. And I think one of the reason was the discipline and the consistency. Otherwise, you can't run 5 kilometers in 20, 25 minutes. Or am I wrong?
Probably that's not the best example to pick from. Uh, I'm not a running guy, first
Okay.
of all. No, I just only ran. So last DHL, the last year when I ran in there, I completed around 27 plus minute each type. But I only ran for a month. And this year I think, ran for 7 days.
Okay.
Uh, but
Then you
the
are
only
gifted.
difference, no, it's not gifted. The only thing I could think, because uh, I was consistent, because you have probably seen me at some point of time. I was very chubby, over 95 kilos weight. And during the COVID season, I hated seeing myself in the mirror. I never crossed that weight threshold in my whole life. So
Mm,
I was depressed for some little time being. And I was seeing my daughter growing, and I was like, I'm not a good dad, even. So I thought at some point of time in 22 that enough has been done, and I'm going to change my life. I'm going to be in a good shape. Whatever happens, I will keep that up. So I started for a few months for a diet, and then on a consistent gym and stuff in there, which actually helped me to boost my, a little bit of bread and stuff in there. So the difference between last year and this year DHL was like a year of consistent. So I'm doing this gym for last 2 years now
mm,
consistently. No excuse, nothing else. It's just I feel like I read somewhere that when you do your gym, take like uh, your life depends on it, because
mm.
your life depends on it. So I'm taking this literally as now. Whatever happens, 5 o'clock, it's your gym time. Hit in there, no matter what happens. So probably
And
that helps me to run a little bit better.
and that's also something about consistency. Like in your professional work, like if when you are a co-founder, there will be days wherein you don't feel like giving in that 100%. But since you have defined that you need to be consistent and disciplined and put in the work, I guess it's a non-negotiable. You have to do it, right? And over the course of 5 6 years, then you will see the results. So I completely agree. I myself am doing the gym. I'm consistent, but I'm not as consistent as I think my diet is not that consistent. So I like to eat whatever I want, and that takes me away from seeing the results on the body. But at least I'm consistent going to the gym. Um, Coming back to you made a point about rejections. Just want to touch upon that. You said that there's a rejection, and then there's a rejection, and then there's more rejection, and then you will see something, right? How does it feel um, to be rejected consistently when nobody wants to get your solution? What is the change in the mindset that you have explored over the years of being rejected?
It feels shit. Now, a little bit of background. I was not a very bad student throughout my career in there. I used to
Mm,
place always like a first or second position in the class throughout my school life, and also college life was good in there. Also ranked in university, got a job in a very easy way. Also struggle in there. So in different ways. Throughout the academic life, when you have gone through this kind of mentality, it was like, okay, if you perform something better than the others, you are qualified to get something as a result, right? Whether it's a job interview or something results or ranking in an exam, and it gets in a habit. Uh, and then it hit hard, Marvin, in there. Because when I reached several people, like, how's the product? Everyone says, it's brilliant, it's fantastic. They tested, they said, they shared the experience, and they said good words. And then I said, well, would you like to spend this much of money on the solution if you want to continue using this? Oh, I didn't thought there's money involved right now. No, sorry, I don't have the budget or the plan to use it right now. Or maybe simply ghosting, a lot of ghosting, simply just not
mm,
responding back in there and saying
mm,
like, okay, do not disturb me and stuff like that. Because at some point of time, no one knows you. So you're
mm,
reaching out to people. It's kind of like lead generation in different ways, email or calls or social medias.
mm,
And even if you don't want to spam people, people can react you being a spammer, right?
mm,
You are getting their inbox sometimes without their
mm,
consent,
mm,
and then sometimes rude words coming out of them. I don't want it to disturb me. You're just doing trash talking. So it's kind of like gets into your phase, and you're not very used to your entire life and
mm,
these many years of corporate journey.
mm,
And then I was like, what I'm doing wrong? I have done built something which is not that bad. Well, it has been tested by many. It has some potential. I'm reaching out with some kind words. It's not I'm trying to spam someone, but in rejection, I'm getting some bad words or some ghosting in there. What I'm doing wrong? And then I started reading a lot of psychology on sales. Tried to buy some books and started writing like and reading what's happening. And then I realized a lot of rejection simply comes because you, not a person being bad, they simply do not want either to they don't have the authority to take a decision, so they want to simply avoid you at any point of time, or they want to just simply bypass the budget or trying a new things, or they're simply very busy. Everyone is busy. No one has time to explore what Mark Zuckerberg is trying the next thing, right? Everyone is like busy in their own life. So maybe they're very busy. They don't have time and they're simply overlooking things in there. So rejection is a
mm,
simple part of that. It's not something you have to take as a personal thing. It's just like the solution, the proposal they're rejecting. They're rejecting you. So when that thing, when you differentiate between yourself and your proposal being rejected, then I think the your perspective changes and then you
mm,
feel like, okay, it's not something bad. They're simply rejecting the idea. Maybe later, maybe not. And there are many people in the same niche. If one is rejecting, there are X number of people still out there. You need only handful of them, and that should be enough. You don't need entire world to like you because I don't even like everyone. So I cannot expect everyone to like me, right?
that's a good sentence. And no, so yeah, it reminded me of that quote: "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." So I feel that it has made you extremely strong in terms of your mind. That every rejection has taught you something, and which made you read a lot of books and be more inwards, like reflect inwards and see that what am I doing wrong, and based on that, you optimized or you course corrected and you got that success because MarvinXR has been working with, correct me if I'm wrong, with Reliance, which is one of the biggest companies in India. You are working
It's
with
a business
Tuborg.
partnership with Reliance Retail. Yes,
You are also
NEWCHAPTER.
working with one of the biggest companies in Denmark, Tuborg, and there are
We
many
did.
multinational companies, right? So there has been a huge success of Marvin XR, and after a lot of rejections, you see these successes. Do you have any learnings that you want to tell to the entrepreneurs who are starting this journey?
Only one thing, don't give up. 99% of the startups, they do die in the first year. And that is the
Mm,
truth. And when I started, my only goal, so my vision was two things in there. Number one, I'm not going to get some VC money to spend in there like crazy people and then exhaust the company and get out of there. That was not my intention. I even received five different VC fund proposals. I humbly rejected them, saying that I want to grow this company as a bootstrapped one because of several reasons. I'm not going to all of them in there. The
mm,
second thing is that, and I wanted, my vision was to make sure that at any point of time, I want to keep that company ongoing, no matter what happens.
mm,
It's when money flows from your pocket, you have to be very cautious, like how you're spending things. You cannot simply just subscribe every alternate tools and solutions and just keep the bills ongoing, right? It will
mm,
devastate you. So, and at some point of time, running them on could was a challenge because of there was not many customers, but the cost was getting high, and you are not
mm,
in complete control. And
mm,
finding a solution is alternate solution is always not easy. So
mm,
the new entrepreneurs, I would say, be dynamic, don't give up. When challenges hits your face, try to find an alternate, but don't
mm,
put down your vision.
mm,
Don't put down your business or your startup
mm,
because what happens and this is another my learning is that and I'm just right now I'm completely trusting on this one that in a long run of 10 years everyone thinks of being a millionaire a billionaire overnight, right? No one thinks of the game in a long run in 10
mm,
years in 12 years.
mm,
Most of the startups and companies, they normally been exhausted by third year. By fifth year, 99.98% of the companies get shut down. If you pass that phase and you are not still growing, you are still just surviving in that space, keep that light on because
mm,
then your competitors, even the bigger ones, will get out of business. They're running VC monies like flood and like fire. So they will put out and they will get out of the scene. you will sustain in that journey. In 10th year, you will be there and there will be no one of your big competitors out there. So
mm,
just keep on continuing and don't give up.
mm.
Probably one of the biggest and hardest lesson to survive and to be successful in the long run.
I I think it's also like that's a very important lesson. Don't give up. It's easy to say, right? It's easy to say don't give up. Like in my head, when if I'm running a 10 kilometer, and in kilometer 6 my mind is like I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And if someone says don't give up, it's very difficult to translate that until it comes from within, wherein your brain itself starts motivating you, and then you get that constant feedback of let's take 1 kilometer at a time, and then let's reach that goal. Break it down into like smaller pieces and then achieve your goal. But what I want to come to the point is, being an Indian, we have this mindset of like that we don't have a security net. Like in Denmark, if you lose a job, you have a security net wherein a government sponsors or government gives you some social benefits. But in India, you don't have that, right? You lose your job, you're on you're on your own. There is that security. There's no security net, and then that gives you into this mindset of not losing, like trying to win every day. And in being India or being grown up in India also teaches you a lot of things. Like one of the things that it would teach you is find a quick solution. We call it in Hindi jugaad. Have you applied that mindset of jugaad or not giving up from you? Have you learned that something from your childhood that has influenced you um, right now to say don't give up? Or is it something that you learned via books, reading, or following someone over social media?
No, by running in the show, in the running on the treadmill, I learned a lot. And while I'm saying running on the treadmill, it means that when I started Marvin, I didn't have the safety net, even in Denmark. And
Mm,
probably know that when people have PR, permanent residence, they have this kind of
mm,
social benefit. But if you're running on
mm,
a work permit and not having the PR, you don't have any safety net. I didn't have
mm,
anyone,
mm,
and it was risky.
mm,
And my point at some point of was like, if not, then when? If not now,
mm,
then when I can do that? And the only side effect I could see that maybe I could lose everything. And then my only strong point was like, okay, I probably get another job in a few months, and then I will get back to India, find a job, and then sustain and start from there again. what
mm,
what can happen worse than that? Like, so that was the worst thing. So when I thought like what could be the worst thing, it seems like it's not that bad. I mean, I can lose a lot of dreams, but I can then start again and I can try to fly again.
mm,
So it like, okay, let's give it a try. And then I realized we think a lot of things in our head, like what people will think, what society will think, what I'm going to say to my friends and stuff if I'm not going to be a millionaire by next Sunday, what people would think of me as a failure. And then you get past these feelings and if you realize nobody gives a shit. Nobody thinks of you once you write something in LinkedIn. Yay, I'm starting a position, I'm starting something. Everyone claps in there and congratulations. 2 minutes later, nobody gives a shit about you. You're on your own. When you realize that, it feels like it's your own life. You can do whatever you want. If shit happens, shit can happen, but you should go along. But you will not get the chance when you pass
mm,
that time in your life. It will never come back. So that is the case in I could say. And regarding the safety net, I'd say a lot of people think about, even I know some of my friends, they're still thinking about the right time. When it will come, they will start their own business and stuff. And as I always say, there is no right time. And waiting for the
exactly.
right time is like waiting until the deathbed. That's the
That's true.
worst part.
That's also something that I have been thinking about this podcast. I told you before we went live. I've been thinking about it for 2, 3 years, and then someone triggered me, and then I realized that there's no right time. Like tomorrow is or today is the right time. Just start. You have to just start, and then I started, and somehow I have a platform right now, and my goal is not to give up, like you said. Take it one day at a time and not give up. It's easy to say. It's very difficult when you don't have guests. Like you say, you go and reach out to them and you see rejections, or you feel that you are spamming people and there's no guests. Then I think it becomes a serious question to reflect upon. Um, at least from my side. But you talked about social media, LinkedIn, right? You said you can post something on it, but nobody cares. Uh, After, like they will give you kudos, they will write some nice comment about you, but then you are on your own. However, you have a very big influence on social media. When I say big, in LinkedIn, you have several thousand followers. What was your mindset uh, starting that influencer journey?
Very simple. Trying to let more people know about what I'm building because nobody
Mm,
knew me.
mm,
uh, yeah, so that was like 3 years back. I
mm,
started. Before that, I had like a passive LinkedIn account like everybody else. Whenever there was a need for job, I was being active, and then it's completely dormant account.
mm.
But
Most of the
I
people
was
do that.
exactly, and I was no different. I was looking for something to write around and to find some audience, like how I can
Mm,
attract more people. And people are like, go to LinkedIn and find your, right customer and stuff. And I was like, how? I mean, how do I know who's my right customer, right? It sounds so easy, but it doesn't make any sense. And then people started saying, go and write, and the right people will just get attracted. And I'm like, okay, but if I write and I have only 345 people in my list, how can the new people will come up and find my things in there? So then I get in touch, and I was heavily influenced by Justin Welsh. Justin Welsh is the number one guru in LinkedIn. He's the guy right now with the biggest followers in the whole world, and he's been ranked as, I think, 3 consecutive years as the biggest number of LinkedIn followers in the world right now. So Justin was growing at that point of time. He was elevating. So he was in a top position of corporate life, had a crash down in a health service, and he decided to quit job and try to building a one-person business. And mind it, one-person business, not a two-person business even. So he started writing in LinkedIn, and I found him at that point of time. And then we talked, and he actually gave me some suggestions, and he had a kind
mm,
of guide. I bought that solution from him, and then we kind of like get in touch in regular format in some ways. And that actually helped me to understand how you can build audience and try to monetize at some point of time. So my point was like, okay, monetize is a different thing, but I want to make sure that more people know about Marvin or what I'm building, what I'm trying to say, because I don't want to portray myself as an architect. What he's building, nobody has no idea, right? So that's very ambiguous profile, like many people in there. So I want to be very specific. Like I'm building something and it has a vision, and I have this vision, and I can build new things, and I can think about new business connectivity, how people can use this, and I can help people. Like if somebody try to start a new business with some new ideas, I can help them. So that was the point. I started writing around 23, and now I just yesterday I crossed 19,000 followers in there. Thank you. But by the way, I'm very happy for you as well that you finally started the podcast. I think we also had this discussion a few years back, and I was also like, "Oh, Gopal, you have to think about something which you like in there." But anyway, I'm very happy that he finally started in there. But yeah, I think the only thing that differs in there, for many days, I'm writing in LinkedIn for last 3 years. For first 2 years, every single day, so 700 and sorry, 812 days straight without failing. Every single day I was writing in there. No gap, nothing else. Even I was on vacation, even I was traveling, I was scheduling. My content is every day on the platform. Nowadays I have reduced a little bit. I normally post like 4 to 5 days a week based on different things. And I also started a newsletter 3 years back, which just crossed 177th week running this one right now. So these two things I started to continue as a journey. And then I tried to bring more things as people gave me more ideas. They DM'd me like, hey, so have you thought about this way? Can you think? And then I said, okay, a lot of people are interested, but they don't know how to start something with their money. So I started my first book, or wrote my first book, uh, on top of like how people can use web air or virtual try on in different business, in different format, and get more customers, more money in there. And then as Marvin also matured with time with e-commerce, I also wrote my second book because that was my point to helping out the C-level, the C-suite people who do not have much time to go through a lot of things. They want to summarize things, focus, ROI, the
mm,
mindset they are in, how people can actually use that mindset to realize whether this kind of decision is good or bad. So I wrote
mm,
that my second book, kind of very focused on the C-suite. and
Mm.
on web air as well. So that actually, yeah. And in during this time, I also got some very good friends and influencers in LinkedIn. They are also kind of supporting my journey and helping me in many ways, enriching me. So it's an enrichment. It's, I'd say, learning every day and supporting the community and people every day. And I realized that it's all about people. You help people, you support people, you cheer for them. And I actually, one of my friend, he's also quite a very big LinkedIn influencer. He actually said to me that until I go to that position, I will cheer for everyone who goes to the stage. And I
Wow.
found it very interesting line. And since then, I said, okay, even if no matter, it's not about competition, it's not about big jealousy. Cheer for everyone who is going to that stage
Mm.
because I may or may not end up in there, but I may end up having a good friend or relation with that person.
That's that's a very positive mindset. I guess positive mindset is also very important when you are creating something. You have touched upon many topics like Mr. I would like to understand a bit more. We'll go into a bit because there's many topics here, Mr. Welsh, and then you also talked about many people messaging you in LinkedIn some ideas, but they don't know how to achieve it. And it reminded me of this great line again, Nawal. I don't know. I'm fanboying Nawal today, wherein he says that you will get rich by giving society what it wants, but it doesn't know how to get it there or how to get it at scale. So society wants something, but they don't know how to get it, and then you figure it out, and then you become rich. So that was something that reflected when you said that they DM'd you and said, "Hey, I have this idea, but then I don't know how to implement it." And then you, on the other hand, were able to process it, maybe build up a solution and give it to them via books or via MarvinXR or no matter what. And then that is, I feel that that is a medium through which people can get rich. But identifying what society wants is also a skill. You have done that through identifying that there's a need for AR, VR, XR platforms. And that identification is also a skill. Do you think that it's easy for people just to identify a problem and convert it? Or is there a skill set that is needed to identify or to understand what society wants?
I think it's a trial and error, to be honest.
Mm,
Probably you know that I started a startup before that, also in Denmark. It was about
mm,
AI chatbot.
mm,
And I built a platform. I tried using a very innovative natural language processing tool and framework to make sure that your chatbot can be kind of like self-driven to answer your
mm,
questions and stuff. And unfortunately, I couldn't get many customers for that platform. And the moment I hit on the first customer to get onboarded, the COVID lockdown
mm,
happened in there.
mm.
And after 8 months with no customer and a burning budget from my pocket, it just crashed and burned. And I thought AI and chatbot going to be revolutionized. It simply just vanished
No,
from my angle, unless ChatGPT would come in
ChatGPT.
there. Yeah,
Yeah. No,
but
but
that was
was
back in
it
2018, right? So I was like, for a couple of months, I was not devastated, but I was kind of shocked in mind that I spent so much time, money, energy, art, and everything just burned down. And so it's not a very, positive mindset in that way. But so I was not very sure that if I'm going to start something very soon in there. Then, and one night I was going through some Stack Overflow for some, looking for some programming stuff, and then I
IT
just
people will realize that? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Then I just found one guy. So like, okay, have you tried this one? This is then the web-based augmented reality. Like, it doesn't need any app or headset. You just click on the link on your computer. You can play around. I just clicked the link and like, hmm. There was some funny whales playing around in your room when you open your computer. It just opened your laptop's camera in the room, and you can see some whales are going around and very primitive stuff, like half animated, half thing. And I was like, it looks shit, but it looks good. I
It
mean,
gave you
it
idea.
yeah, yeah, it is just it's fun when you see just like this way we are talking, right? And suddenly a whale is like going in your room like this in the back of your head. It's like that's cool, man. It's cool. And then I'm like, what exactly is this? And that night I realized, I found out actually that's like there's a new programming language being developed recently, like 6 months back. Some community actually, some couple of developers built a very good framework, and their also vision is like not to use any kind of app or headset for augmented reality, like simple browser, simple smartphone, or any browser can
mm,
actually open that. And I thought that's actually a cool thing. The before that, the COVID thing was happening at that point of time, so I was trying to buying thing online in Amazon, and some of them miserably failed because
mm,
when I ordered, it came in there. My daughter's dress, for example, didn't match in size whatever they actually advertised, so I had to return back, and it was also a very painful thing. And I was like,
mm,
and this could be something challenging, right? Every one of us has the same problem while ordering online. Does it fit? Will it suit? No, I don't know. I don't want to return it back, so I will not buy. So it's kind of a dilemma in there, right? What
mm,
if, and that night, it's like a couple of nights after it just hit my head, what if we can actually test something with this kind of semi shark stuff or semi whale stuff converted into something like a chair or maybe a dress or something could actually give some idea. Then I was looking for like, is there anything at that point of time? There was none. I think there was one actually who was also just starting out, but they were very focused on the fashionable wears. So I was like, that makes a good sense. So why not try the thing? Then I was after a few couple of weeks, then the idea actually seeded in there, which later gave in there. But that's another story. I also
no,
went too far into technology, which I realized that the
but
developer's mindset is worst sometimes.
I understand that you have to be very aware about what society wants, and you should also be very aware about the problems that you have in your personal life. Like you said, you ordered a dress that didn't fit, and you wanted to solve that problem. And then you connected the dots between what you saw in the Stack Overflow, and then you were like, click, an idea popped up, and now it is MarvinXR. And I think for society to be, to solve problem of what society needs, you have to be very inward in your mind. Like you need to be constantly thinking, okay, what problems am I facing? Can I solve it? And then via solving that problem, you can also like scale it across the society, and which will in turn make you super rich. But what I wanted to ask you is, was it hard starting something new or letting go of something that isn't working?
The second one, I mean, when you have invested something, like even if you have invested a week for something, you will find
Mm,
it's hard to let it go.
mm,
Now think about you have spent close to a year on something, and then suddenly you
mm,
realize it will give you nothing back, and it's just a waste of time, and you have to let go that project.
mm,
It's a little hard. It's a little kind of like feel pressure in there as well. And I think since I have started my job, I have started and I've created several kind of tools, solutions, forums that have approach multiple ways. 8 or 9 failed products
mm,
before this as well,
mm,
since 12 actually,
mm.
in different formats and stuff. And each one actually have gave me some ideas like how not to do this in the next time. And then actually I did one diploma from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of
Mm,
Technology, on entrepreneurship, actually industrial
mm.
entrepreneurship. That actually also gave me a very good framework of mind how
Okay.
you can uh, connect the dots of something that you have experienced as a problem and what could be a potential solution and how to validate this. Because
Mm,
without a validation, it's just your personal problem. But also, it
mm.
is true when you have a personal problem, probably you are not the only one. There probably are millions, but in which way? You have to find it out. Are they in the same strata, in different geography, different ecological sections? That connections you have to build it out in there before you can start something new as well. So that's kind of like think you always that framework runs into my mind.
But it's fascinating to hear that it's very painful to let go of something that you have been spending a lot of time on, and you have let go of so many things, and that has taught you so many good stuff that you are able to build. For example, MarvinXR. And I'm also reading this book called Essentialism. I don't know if you have heard about it. There's a book called Essentialism by M- oh wow, what a coincidence. Yeah, no, but it's essentialism, wherein they talk about how to let things go. For example, in IT, we know that in a day, if we have 7.5 hours or 8 hours of work, 6 hours of those would be useless meetings where people are just booking your calendar for some nonsense stuff and just keep on rambling, and then you are not adding anything meaningful in it, or neither you're getting anything meaningful in it. So the book talks about how to let go of things that doesn't add value to your life, and how to pick something that you will feel that will give a lot of value to you in the future. So that's why I wanted to understand that how easy or difficult it is to let go of things. Like for me, it's very hard to let go of things, even if it's clothes in my cupboard. I have so many old clothes, and I've made a note to myself that at some point I will throw all of them. But then the day it comes to throwing them, I'm like, there's so much attachment to this. I don't want to throw this. So it's there in the cupboard. So, but after reading this book, I've made up my mind that it's going to go. And they also give an analogy in the book which says that I if this cloth is out for a sale, are you going to go and buy that? If not, you need to throw it, because it is not going to give you any value. And that's a very good point that I've thought of. And a lot of clothes in the cupboard have to be thrown out based on that analogy. Uh, but yeah, it's a very good book. And for people who are listening to this podcast, I'll also put that in the show notes about essentialism and I don't recollect the author of the book. It's quite useful. But speaking about books, you have also written a couple of books. We talked about it. Has there been any learnings based on those writings of books that you have taken personally?
Writing books. It's one of the most toughest things, to be honest.
Mm.
I didn't
Why?
realize. I thought it's like, okay, writing probably a long white paper, putting some interruptions, and then writing something and ending up would be easy. And man, no. Then then I started something. And especially the first book was not okay, what I'm going to write? Oh, no, I'm not sure. And then I was like, okay, I'll try tomorrow and tomorrow. And then after a month, I realized it's 30 days past. I haven't done a single thing and I have to do it. Otherwise, it will never be ended and will be a discarded project forever. So I forced myself. But yeah, I mean, it's not a proofreading, but,
Mm.
every time you end up a book, well, it's an ebook. I didn't go it for physical publishing or paper publishing in there. You end up, and then suddenly something strikes in your mind. What if you're missing the key point in there in chapter 5? So you go there, you add it, and suddenly the entire format of the book is gone. Thank you very much. Now you start from the scratch, from reformatting the book, and then you end up, and then suddenly you're going to the bed, and it strikes. What if you add that point? It's also very crucial to chapter 8, but it has fun. But
Mm.
at some point of time, I made a disciplinary step like, okay, every day, 45 minutes I have to spend on the books, not more, not less. Whatever has been done is going to be within 45 minutes, because then I was like spending the whole evening sitting around with a book open. I don't know what to write. I'm writing half the way, and then I'm just looking for a case, and I just lost in finding a case study in the internet, and suddenly 2 hours been gone, and it's not been
Mm.
two lines been written. So then I
Mm.
have to formulate a process like, okay, I have to do this, and then I just continued for next 25 days, and then it was more or less completed. And then I'm like, okay, let's move it to the next one.
It's very interesting because writing a book is very difficult when you're starting out new. For me, I have not written any books, but my goal was I'm a big fan of comedy or humor genre, and I wanted to write a joke. And I told my wife that it's easy. I'm always cracking jokes at home. How big of a deal it is to write a joke, right? And then I opened the notepad and I wrote something, and then it was so bad. Then I deleted it, and then I was like staring at the screen for like half an hour, couldn't find anything, just delete, went home, and went back, and I said, I can't. It's very difficult to write something. It's some like if you're trying to come up with a sentence, it's very difficult from scratch. But now you have experience of two books, so that will add, I guess, on some level. But starting out new is a very difficult process, at least in my opinion. Uh,
True. And since you just mentioned about essentialism, I also want to add to my read list for sure. But I also want to mention one book in here. Probably this could be a very good addition to the audience, which and it also changed my kind of like course of life, which is the growth mindset. and it's one of the best sellers for many years in there. The growth mindset, it's in summary, the book says there is no one who is been born with higher intelligence or lower intelligence. The person or the boy who is scoring highest in the class in maths has just done more faults while practicing than the one who scores the least. Michael Jordan has been ranked number one and earned in millions because he failed to score the goals and he tried failed attempts than his rest of all the players in NBA. So the more you fail at something, the better it gives you an opportunity for growth and be on top of the league in a due
Mm.
term. And it actually changed my mind because we always think about he's very intelligent, he ranks in first, and he's dumb, he ranks in the last, and there's no nothing as such. It always like who fails most end up on the top because in a physics problem or a maths problem, he has been wrong many times, so he knows what are the problems. He should not be wrong, and he choose the right ways in the final exam. So he goes top, and the one who hasn't practiced goes in the top. So that book actually changed my mind and mindset forever. And I really always, in any forum, I've been to previous podcasts, and I always recommend this book to the, people in any forum. It doesn't need to be in the startup or founders mindset. Anywhere, it's a leading book to read at least once in a life. I'd strongly recommend in there.
I will make a note of it. We'll also add it in the podcast description. Basically, try and try again until you succeed. We have been taught of that as a moral of the story when we were kids, but that at that time,
We didn't
uh,
realize, and
yeah,
well, we were not supposed to listen to the adults, right? We were kids.
no. But I think we have had a good talk, Swap. Unless there are some points that you want to add, have I missed anything? If you want to talk about it, we can do that. If not, it has been a great 1 hour talking to you and picking your brains and trying to understand a lot of things from an entrepreneur mindset.
No, I actually love this chat, to be honest. It's one of the most lively podcasts set have been in many years, to be
Oh,
honest.
thanks a lot.
Mostly
That
because
means a lot.
we have vibed a lot before that as well.
Yeah, true. But I
No, but
think,
thanks. Before you end up, and I really want to convey my sincere, uh, vibe and love for the podcast and what you are doing in there. It's not easy while you're having a job, your family, newborn kid, and a lot many new things in life. We all know that people think that life in abroad is easy and money flows from the sky and people are rich and drinking champagne with every espresso. It's not like that. It comes with a lot of challenges, a lot of things, and it's a never-ending challenges. Language, mixing up with society, going to the next one. Our thinking about our parents and family back in India, but still taking the next step doing things. Man, I love this. And I always recommend, I always give a high five to anyone who has taken another step beyond that because it's one life. We may fail, we may end up. And I really love one quote from Justin Welsh in here. He said once that you will find more success. No, you will find more success stories in the graveyard because
mm,
no one tried to achieve them and went to the grave with grievance. It's better to try something and fail than lying in your deathbed thinking, I had time, I wish I could have tried this in my life. And that hit me hard. That final moment is the one that will define your entire life in one screenshot, right? Have you tried?
true.
You may fail, but if you don't try, you will fail,
Yeah, you
regardless of
have on
what.
you only
Yeah,
have one life. And I
yeah.
also have a great quote with you only have one life. Um, and it's from Confucius. Uh, and he says that every person has two lives. The second one starts when the person realizes that he has one. So that's like a mind blowing quote. And I think with that quote, let's wrap up. And for everyone, please visit Swapratim Roy LinkedIn, and then Swapratim also has his newsletter. Please have a look at it. Also, books and MarvinXR. We'll put some links in the chat.
Me on LinkedIn, on my personal website, shapratim.roy.com. And I'm quite active in LinkedIn, not that much in Twitter or X, to be honest. But in there also, we can find MarvinXR.com. You will find the links in there. Thank you very much, Gopal, for this invite. It was a lovely and pleasure talking with you. So many things, so many good quotes, fun, love in there. Really love it, man. And for everyone who are listening to this one, I hope you found some good laugh, some good joy in there in this session. And I really wish all the best to this podcast. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Swap.
Jayant.